Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. I'm Nikki Maduro. She's Kim McAllister. We are here. We're going to be talking about two major things, of course. A kind of a personal story between Kim and myself regarding the protests that are happening everywhere from Berkeley, Cal Poly Humboldt, Columbia University, and beyond. And then, of course, we're also going to touch on President Biden signing that TikTok ban. But click that thumbs up button and that subscribe button and that bell, because you know what, Kim? People don't want to miss tomorrow's show.
No, they don't. It's going to be live.
Not. Be here at 10 o'clock, not tomorrow, Friday.
Friday.
Friday's show is going to be live, and it's going to be a hybrid, I guess. So Loretta Lynch is going to be a recorded interview, but Kim and myself will be here live. We will be able to interact with the chat. We'll throw some of your comments up. And then after the interview with Loretta Lynch, where we're going to talk about PG&E, CEO compensation, the bills that are, before the state legislature screwing us and rejecting the idea of, reining in how our money is used. That's all going to be coming up on Friday. So don't forget, Friday, the Nikki Maduro Show is live right here at 10 o'clock. And so we will see you there. Okay, so House Speaker Mike Johnson, he's getting it from both ends. People within his own party want to remove him from speaker. And then the man decides to go to Columbia University and address the protests that have become extremely large. We've seen it in Berkeley. We've seen it at Cal Poly, like I've mentioned, Cal Poly Humboldt. And I'm not going to play any of it. It got really kind of heated at points. It was like a 20-minute speech that he gave, and other people as well. But basically, he was, calling out the protesters, calling out what he sees as kind of taking it too far, to put it nicely, taking it way too far. And as far as protests, the rhetoric that's being used by some of these protesters, the calling out and the name calling of other people, especially Jewish people on campus. But I want to talk about how it's impacting the conversation around free speech and peaceful protesting, and what it means to protest and to boycott. So, Kim, I don't know if you're aware, but apparently, and I will always look for a reason to boycott Starbucks, because I feel like they're just taking over the world, right? Not knocking Starbucks. I drink it. But apparently, Kim, we're supposed to be over the war in Gaza protesting Starbucks. Were you aware of this?
I was aware of this.
You were aware of this. How did you become aware of this?
I was aware of this, Nikki, when my 10-year-old child came home and said, actually got in the car after school as at pickup and said, "Am I a murderer?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Mommy, am I a murderer?" And I said,
"Oh, baby.
No, and why would you think so?" I go, "Have you hurt anyone? Did you hurt anyone?" He goes,
"Did you say something?" Yeah.
"No." He goes, "No, I didn't hurt anyone." I said, "Okay. Well, what made you think you're a murderer? What would make you ask the question?"
Right.
He said, "Well, I came to school this morning and Dad got me Starbucks. We drove, my daughter Julia loves Starbucks.
Right,
so they went to Starbucks, and it was a rainy day. It was a couple months ago. And he got like a little small hot chocolate and walked into school sipping his hot chocolate because he was a little bit early. And a girl in class that wasn't in class but was waiting outside where the kids line up looked at him and said, "You went to Starbucks. You're a murderer. You're killing the Palestinian children."
What the heck?
I was like, "What do you mean? This is the first time I've ever heard of this."
Yeah.
So then I go online and I find out there is this big social media boycott against Starbucks and McDonald's over the Israel-Hamas war. And it's over what people think is
like their business support.
Corporate support for Israel, right? Yeah.
I was reading one
place with fourth grade. They're talking about this
in fourth grade, people. Okay. I was reading that as far as McDonald's, I think it goes, this is one article I was reading where they're like, well, I know that it's franchisees that might be in Israel or wherever, but even if it's franchisees, we have to hold them accountable. Okay. I don't want to get into the debate. Okay, because I feel like we've talked about it on this show. I'm not saying it's not important. But for this conversation, it's how our children are watching us. And I'm not talking about our college age children. I'm talking about younger. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know parents whose children are very into the news. And I'm not saying anything about that. I will say this though. My daughter is not. Okay, like she listens to, the news with me and things like that, but is she delving into Middle East politics? No, my daughter is not doing that. Okay. So the other week, this was very recently, we had walked to Starbucks together, and I use trips like this to get my kid to hang out with me. And so we got there and she got her favorite drink, which by the way is a strawberry lemonade acai with no strawberry puree or dried strawberries. It looks like a pink Slurpee. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks very refreshing on a nice hot day. Okay.
Yeah.
So she posts a picture of it and, just kind of thing. Like you need a refreshing drink, right? That's all she posts on her social media. And all of a sudden, it starts going viral for some reason. Okay. And maybe it's because of the boycott. I have no idea why it decided to go viral. My daughter is standing right next to me now because she hears me talking about her. Say hi, Marley. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. So come closer so people can hear you. How many likes or what was the
Oh, I got 52 like K likes.
52,000 likes on this drink.
What?
52,000 likes on a drink. Okay, so now since you're here, you can
Wait,
tell.
it was likes on a drink, or was it dislikes on the drink?
No, there's only liking.
Oh,
there's only liking. So liking
Okay.
on the drinks, okay, and savings because people want to save the drink because it looks delicious. It's a pink Slurpee.
Like 10K, like saves.
Okay, so it started out. How do you make that drink? What is that drink? And then all of a sudden, what were the comments?
Why are you not boycotting?
And what was your response, Marley?
Stop. I don't know.
Who's the boy and what's caught? Like she was being snarky about it. Okay, thank you.
No, I was saying other things. Well, no. Oh, can I just say things? Because
you can come forward.
people started like stalking my account and like going to videos that like I post of myself, and we're all like, "You're ugly."
Yeah. So
because
it got
ugly.
Did it?
It got ugly. Okay, thank you for sharing your story.
Well,
and
do you believe in the whole concept of voting with your wallet?
I do. You know I do. What I don't support is finding random children online and yelling at them, calling them a murderer like that happened to your son. Or talking to my daughter who's never posted anything political. She does not post anything political. Nothing political. She posted her favorite drink from Starbucks. So this is, and it's not like there's a line that's been crossed when you do this to my child. If you were threatening my kid, yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what are we teaching our children? What are these protests? While I do support hands down peaceful protesting, the name calling, the threatening, in my opinion, the misguided anger, right? Like at people who are just trying to live their lives. I understand, when some people say, I'm watching a genocide happen before my eyes, I have to do something. But sometimes the nearest thing that they could do is just yell at the people in their community. And I understand people feel helpless. And I get that feeling, and I hate to both sides it, but on both sides. But it doesn't give you the right, to threaten children. It just doesn't give you the right to do that. And it's ridiculous. And that girl that called your son a murderer, what are her parents telling her? Or do they even know that she's talking like that?
I asked, as a matter of fact. I had just been at a Halloween party. This is how far back this goes, with the dad. And then a couple months later, this happened. So I had his phone number or his email address. So I email. I'm like, hey. Because I hate to bother the teacher.
I hate to bother you, but your daughter called my son a murderer.
We can work it out amongst each other. I'm not going to bother the teacher. And this is still fourth grade. Later on, the kids have to work it out themselves.
Of course.
But we're still like, this is probably the last grade where I would do this.
Yeah, get involved.
So I'm like, all right, listen. Typing as I go. We had a problem today, and I wondered, what was going on with your daughter had mentioned that there was some problem with Starbucks drinks and called Jacob a murderer, and he doesn't understand why.
Right.
So it's a divorced family. He calls the wife, and the wife is dating or has a significant other that's of Palestinian descent. and has been talking a lot about the war in their house. And I think
okay.
that's okay. Everything's a learning
Of
opportunity, right?
course. Right.
So then instead of teaching your kid to come to school and call a kid a murderer and make him so confused he doesn't know what you mean,
Yeah.
then teach your kid to teach others. Like, hey, did you know that Starbucks is supporting something in the world that isn't very good? Right?
Yeah.
It's a teaching and a learning opportunity. I'm not against kids knowing about what's happening in the world.
At an age appropriate level, though, you know,
I would say
like
fourth grade's a little too young for that,
yes.
but okay. Definitely freshmen like Marley and Julia.
Yes.
At this point, like they can know that Starbucks is being boycotted and for what reason, whether you agree that it's a valid boycott or not, they should know what's going on and then be able to make their appropriate choices, right?
Exactly.
So I think fourth grade's a little too young for that, but it's the way you teach kids to approach it. Do you want to be ugly about it and say everyone that goes to Starbucks is a
murderer? Like,
no, you don't want to say that.
Exactly.
You want to use it as a teaching opportunity to go, hey, did you know? Right? Because I didn't know until that moment. I had to research it.
Right. And also, just because you explain a situation, you're also explaining it from your perspective. And are we expecting these fourth graders, let alone, and I'll even say high schoolers, to do enough research that they have to like stand there and defend themselves in possibly a very aggressive situation? Like, I would rather teach my child how to have rational conversations and then also be able to end those conversations peacefully. Like, okay, we don't agree. Right. That doesn't make it so I have to call you a murderer. Like, let's stop with all of that and have the real hard conversations, because what's happening now, I feel like the conversations are not happening enough. They're just, if you don't agree with me, you're a murderer. That's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere.
Now, maybe it's something you internalize. So I think about, okay, people that are maybe hardcore Trumpers, right? Maybe I know I'm not going, we're never going to agree.
Right.
And maybe we've talked about something, or I realize that this is the way someone thinks about something, and my opinion of them and their thought process may change.
Right.
But I'm not going to argue with them.
No.
I'm just going to go, oh, okay, we got somebody that maybe I disagree with over here. Same thing with the Starbucks thing. We may agree, we may not agree.
Right.
But
we can walk away from each other, like
we
not
can walk away from each other. Yeah.
Angry. I mean, we can also be upset with each other, but it doesn't need to be violent. It doesn't need to be that way. And again, when people are deciding amongst themselves how other people can literally move around their community, we got issues. We really do. And I know that protests are supposed to be uncomfortable, but it's a bit, and I will just say this, it's a bit naive, and forgive me, protesters, okay? It's a bit naive to think that every dollar you give a university or the federal government or your state government is going to be spent in a way that you 100% agree with. It will never happen. It is one of the hard truths that kids learn as they become adults, is that yes, you can use your spending money to not buy Starbucks and exercise your opinion that way. And yes, you can call on colleges to divest. And I know the history of doing stuff like that, right? Stopping apartheid and things like that.
Sure.
But it is naive to think it's going to work in every instance. And go ahead and post it using your Apple phone with your Nikes and your Shein clothes, because there is a cost to human life for all of those decisions as well. So let's kind of keep it in the realm of reality before we start getting up on pedestals and accusing people and fourth graders of being murderers. How about that?
So this whole Starbucks thing, it turns out, starts when apparently one person at the union, the Starbucks Workers United, SWU,
right,
makes a post on X that says solidarity with Palestine.
Right.
All right. And Starbucks sees that and they don't want to get involved with opinions on this. So they sue Starbucks Workers United to have that taken down. This
right. I did read about that. Yeah. And that started the whole ball rolling on this.
And it was already negative opinions about Starbucks for all the union stuff that was going on with that company. So this is all kind of an internal Starbucks versus its workers union, and the workers union seems to then glom onto the, Now they're against the cause, right? And so now you have this Starbucks boycott. Now, do I want to be involved in all that? I don't know. I mean, okay, maybe I do. Maybe I'm like, oh,
maybe you do. Yeah, that's a personal choice, but I'm not going to hate you for whatever you choose.
The free speech of their union workers. They don't support the Palestinian cause. Then I'm not going to support them. That would be okay. But it's the going further and the name calling and the getting ugly, as Marley experienced online.
Yeah,
that's where I say that's alone. A no.
And I will say this, I know there are children in Gaza, in Israel, that have been directly impacted, that are infants, 2 years old. And that whole, idea of like, these children are old enough to deal with it. Why aren't your children old enough to deal? I get that. I understand that mentality. But my 15-year-old daughter just wants to enjoy her lemonade acai from Starbucks. And I'm not going to stop her from doing it. And she doesn't. And again, the world is a tough place. Like if you only focus, and I know that what's going on is a tragedy. Like this whole war is a tragedy, but I don't need to expose my 15-year-old, your 10-year-old to it if I don't want to. And it doesn't make me a bad person. And I will not have anyone tell me that it does. So, but social media also is another kind of facet of this whole entire thing, because I do also think that it's the double-edged sword, right, of social media, where ideas spread like wildfire, similar to my daughter posting something on her social media feed, and then people she's never even heard of, the algorithm puts this up, and now all of a sudden she's getting all this stuff, and then
she's getting the ugly of the ugly on the internet.
And I told her, do not engage, not engage. But I do understand, why there needs to be rules surrounding social media. I mean, I heard on the news, remember we talked about that Meta and Instagram were going to do that nudity blurring thing?
Yeah.
Did you hear the update on this? Do you want to know how you get do you know how you get around the nudity blurring? You click on the picture.
What?
It's similar to this photo might offend you. Do you want to see why? And then everyone's like, nah, just click the picture.
Are you
and
kidding
it's like the
me?
most horrific. Yeah. So apparently the way around it that these smart brains figured out was just to click to see.
That's ridiculous.
So anyways, I mean, again, I feel like the idea is never as good as what's actually out there.
Again, if they have the power to detect nudity, they have the power to just delete it where it is. Right?
Thank you.
Don't allow access to the photo. That defeats the whole purpose.
So funny. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I just laughed when I heard that. What I'm not laughing about, though, is how this is going to play out for President Biden. He signed into law the National Security Supplemental Bill, which includes a potential ban of TikTok. So we've talked about this before. ByteDance owns TikTok. ByteDance is being sold. Either, basically sell the company or the social media app, or we're going to ban it. Now, what that actually looks like, I have no idea. But this was a bipartisan bill. And Donald Trump is trying to act like he wasn't the one that signed this ban by executive order when he was president. He did, people. And now all of a sudden it's a presidential election year. And he's like, oh, no. I decided that TikTok's A-okay. And he's only going to do that until if God forbid he gets elected. And he's like, you know what? I thought about it again and not going to do it, because that's what Trump does. So this was, again, a bipartisan bill. I don't know how this plays out, though. I think it's going to piss these young voters off. I don't think that they want any sort of what they will consider to be censorship. They have not been shown. And I will say this is a valid point. The Biden administration and Congress, who, again, passed this bill, have not shown what the national security risk is. They're just telling us what they think could happen. So if there is something more there that they can disclose, they should do it, because I think that's just going to rile up a lot of people. Now, of course, ByteDance is going to, slow this out. They're going to bring it to court. If it's going to happen, it's going to be like at least a year from now. Although I heard one tech reporter say that the deadline is the day before the inauguration.
Oh, wow.
There's some sort of deadline of China and whether it's going to go through. It's like the day before the next presidential inauguration. So
I have to say that
we'll see.
I'm kind of confused because didn't it used to be the Republican, mantra, you pinko commie, you liberal commie, right?
Right.
And so now we have something like this. where, I don't know if you can see the headline there.
Yeah.
How TikTok's Chinese parent company will rely on the American right to keep the app alive. So
Yeah.
you have the hard right aligning with Russia and China. Who's the commie now? That's what I want to know.
I will say that again, this was a bipartisan bill. Congress, who can't agree on anything, passed this TikTok ban. So I will say that, yes, there's some extremists, but I think this is all political, Kim. I really honestly do. And I will also say this: Biden, Trump, well, not Trump because he has Truth Social, but a lot of these members of Congress, a bit hypocritical to sign a possible TikTok ban while posting still on TikTok. I mean, what in the holy heck? Like, what are you talking about? If it's a national security risk, it's a national security risk. Yeah. You shouldn't be touching it with a 10-foot pole. Now, I don't know if it's on their government issued phones or if there's a way around it, but it still seems a bit hypocritical for you to say, I'm going to ban this app because of national security concerns, and yet still use the app. And the app and the algorithm is going to rile up these people and say, Biden did this, even though it wasn't. Biden signed it. That is true. But Congress is the one that sent it to his desk. So don't be blaming one side or the other because Congress did it. So there we go. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that TikTok should be banned? I don't know. I mean, how many of you don't have a TikTok page? Do you?
I don't use TikTok, but I have seen TikTok videos. So if there's an embedded TikTok video that I want to see in a news story, I'll click on it. But from what I understand, there's concern of national security violations, that China, everything is connected to the Chinese government because it's a Chinese company. So China can see your house and they can see what you're doing in your house and they can see what you have in their house and they can see where you live and they can see all the things.
Google does that too. Google Maps does that too.
But that's not a Chinese company, right?
No, it's just a company that just does it so blatantly. You know what I mean? And and again, it's this idea of show us or explain it to us better. Because if you explain it to me in a way that I find to be valid, okay. But just saying it, still having it on your phone and using it just seems hypocritical. I use TikTok just because I like the editing for videos. I don't really scroll on it a lot. I'm more of an Instagram type of person, just to be honest. But if it went away, I don't think it would impact my life that much. But people make money off it. And if people make money off of it, they're going to be sure as hell pissed that you're taking it away.
MSNBC has a list of all the senators who voted to ban TikTok who use it. And they have their TikTok account listed front and center. And I have to tell you that most of them are Democrats that have the TikTok, but also ban the TikTok. Booker, Brown, Casey, Fetterman, Gillibrand, Markey, Murray, Ossoff, Warnock.
Yeah.
So
they all, President Biden, his campaign uses it. So again, it's a bit rich. So we use social media too. We use YouTube. YouTube has a huge reach, but it's not like TikTok, right? It's not like that. But it is, one
it's
of the
owned
top
by Alphabet. It's owned basically by Google, and it's based here in the Bay Area. So it's not a Chinese company, but anyone in the world could see what we're doing and see where we're sitting and see
Exactly. All right, you guys, again, tomorrow we are going to be live. Tomorrow, the live show starts at 10 o'clock, and it will include my recorded interview with former CPUC President Loretta Lynch. We're going to talk PG&E. We're going to talk about compensation. We're going to talk about those bills that need to be signed to hopefully get us some sort of relief. But the amount of relief we would have to get to bring it down to a reasonable spot is so gigantic. I don't think it'll ever happen. So don't miss a moment. Make sure you've subscribed and hit that bell so you know exactly when we start. And thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much to everyone that is supporting the show, whether it's in the chat, whether it's through our Patreon, which we totally depend on. Go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is there. And that's a way for you guys to show us that you still want us here, that you still want this kind of conversation between myself and for Kim. And we really do appreciate you guys. We'll go over the survey results also on Friday because you guys have been giving me some great ideas. And I've been loving the love that you guys have been giving us. If you like PayPal, just go to paypal.com, hit the send button, the email address right on your screen, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. Visit our sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. Jamaican hot sauce with hibiscus. There's a hot sauce with pineapple that's delicious. And there's the guava barbecue sauce that Kim thinks there's a kick to. I don't think so. She got a sensitive tongue. But it is so freaking good.
But I
and
like it, though.
Yeah, it's really good. You get 10% off every order if you use the coupon code Nikki M or Nick Kim, Nikkim. Antitabbies.com. Island flavor barbecue sauces and hot sauces are delicious. All right. So we will see you guys right here tomorrow. Have a great day. Love ya. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're oh so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're oh so awesome.
Wow. Okay.